Sundays in the month of May that we started the show, and tonight you're joining us again for the last episode of the show. I'm specifically thankful to the Chancellor of the More Leadership Academy, and we have a special guest in the house. The show producer, Mr. Basema Akai, has also joined us live here in the studio. I'd like to thank our co-producers, Mr. Excel, of course, Mr. Chris, Esther, and Purpose, who have ensured that we have very seamless and swift conversation, and we also have no network glitches or hiccups. Also like to welcome everyone who is joining us for the first time on the show, and those who have been consistent with us throughout the editions we've had. This is the Reading Leaders Corner Show, a signature program of the More Leadership Academy, and every Sunday we gather here like this to read and extract some very important leadership lessons as contained in the books we've selected for each of the months. And for this month, we have been working with Never Lead Alone, 10 Shifts from Leadership to Teamship by Kate Ferrazzi and Paul Hill. And you know, my job is always very simple here. I just steer the conversation while the guest reviewer for the month will just, take us through the analysis and give us the in-depth insight as concerned and contained in this book. For this month, our reviewer has been Jemimah Joseph, and so far she has done a very fantastic and extensive work on the book, coming from the reviews we've had from our participants. And tonight we'd like to welcome her again once more for the last appearance she's having with us on the show. Jemimah, good evening, happy Sunday. Welcome to your last episode on the show. How do you feel?
Ecstatic.
Why is your voice not ecstatic?
Ecstatic. For one, I have really enjoyed the show, the progressions and all of it. And I'd really love to call back at another time if given the opportunity. Yeah.
So what if you say you're not coming back?
And it's fine too, but maybe I'll just have,
excuse me.
I have a 1 or 2 discussion with the show producer, so let's see how we could work things out.
You want to go through the back door?
Yeah, I didn't say that. Come on, we're talking about leadership here, so the part of leadership we're talking about doesn't mean I have to go through the back door. But hey, Mr. Show Producer, you get a knock from me. How about that?
So Mr. Akai has just appeared in the studio, and the first thing you want to do is to bribe him. Well, we'll see how that goes. So we are back here for the Reading Leaders Corner Show program of the More Leadership Academy. Of course, like I stated, this is our last episode for this month of May, and Jemimah would be with us tonight, as well as the last edition of this show. I'd like to thank everyone who has joined us. The book says, the world's highest performing organizations understand they need more than leadership to win. They need teamship. Teamship is a profound shift from today's hierarchical model to sharing the load among a team that elevates one another and the organization to achieve exponential results. These are the very important conversations we are going to have for tonight. But for the benefits of people who are just joining us for tonight, who have missed previously on the 3 Sundays we've had, I'd like to welcome them by introducing them to Jemimah, who will lead us through the review of what we've done the previous 3 Sundays, and then we'll proceed to the conversation for tonight. So Jemimah, please.
Okay, so throughout the week we were making the shift from leadership to teamship and helping organizational heads and team leads to know what is appropriate and what is needed for the success of an organization. Now, Keith Ferrazzi has given us 10 shifts, and throughout the course of this book, we handled from command and control to connect and collaborate, one of those shifts. We also had from transactional to transformation. We have talked about fixed mindset to growth mindset. A lot of these shifts that would help us to work within the confines of our organization. And most importantly, we've learned that from this session that when we are having a team, the team doesn't just stop at the organization, it extends outside of the organization, because we're bringing in every part of us, everything that we are, into the organization for us to have success at the end of the day. From last week, we have we got practical advice on how to handle transactional to a transformation kind of leadership. We also talked about agile leadership, where it is inclusive. We talk about inclusivity. Everyone has to be involved in it. Your challenges doesn't mean that you are a failure. It's just a stepping stone for us to know what's wrong and how we can iron it out. Yeah, so this was what we've picked out and we learned over time.
Thank you so much, Jemimah. So I'd just like to do a rundown of what we've done the past 3 Sundays. I'll just itemize the shifts, each of them, and then I read it out. So shift number 1 says shifting from hub and spoke to the leader to co-elevation of the team. Shifting from hub and spoke, and that is just an analogy drawn from a bicycle hub and spoke, maybe from a motorcycle hub and spoke, where we have the central hub and then we have the spokes, and the hub there represents the leader, who is at the center stage of giving instruction, giving assent, giving commands, giving authority and delegating power. And then the spokes are just the people working under the leader, and everything flows from the central authority to the delegated positions. And they have said that this is not quite appropriate because it does not lead to efficiency. If the leader is not active, the organization cannot move forward and other things like that. And then we have shift number 2, shifting from conflict avoidance to candor. Yeah. So we have people in the organization who are used to avoiding conflicts. They avoid each other like they are walking on eggshell. That's the phrase. So the people who don't want to say things to hurt somebody. Yeah. So nobody says anything. They just want to well, I wanted to say something, but I don't know how they will take it. I don't know if they will misunderstand me, so I just keep quiet. But they say that is not the practice that is very tenable in teamship practice, because it doesn't allow the team to flow. Then we have the third one, which is shifting from serendipitous relationships to purposeful team bonding. So serendipity is a situation where we have calmness, no issue, problems, But then the leader says that an ideal leadership environment does not thrive on that people need to understand that they need to misunderstand each other to understand. You need to know what this person is going through. You need to know what this person is facing. You need to know what their weak points are so that you can embrace them and cover them up. And then we have the fourth one, which is shifting from individual to team resilience. Alone you can do nothing, but with people you can do a lot. You can do so much, excuse me. Sorry. And you also understand that there's a proverb that says that if you want to travel fast, travel alone. If you want to travel far, travel with people. Now, the clocks there would be that if you are traveling alone and you are traveling fast, you get tired so easily and then there will be nobody to cheer you up. There is no motivation along the path, and it's just you and your journey. So if you feel you've exhausted yourself, nobody to give you, if you've aspired to acquire a Maguire, there is no motivation along the path. I just brought in that just for a lighter note. But then what we are saying is that when you're traveling alone, there are instances of things you need people. You cannot delegate because absolutely it's your own journey and you're taking it alone. And then we have the fifth, which is God, please.
Sorry.
Shifting to elevate collaboration, broader and bolder co-creation through meeting shifting. At this point, we need to have in-house meeting where we realign ourselves, reassess our team, and reassess the things we are doing. Continue to check, cross-check, and measure. If you are driving a car, there's something called a fuel gauge. There is a speedometer. I think there are other things. There can be a temperature gauge too. I think there's something like thermometer in some cars where they gauge the temperature of the car, whether it's hot, whether it's cool. You know, we have those regulators. We need to know: are you going at the pace you need to travel in? Are you traveling at the same distance you wanted to? Do you have fuel? Do you have fuel? Do you need to refuel your tank? Do you need to re-energize yourself? You know, so all those things you need to also consider. And then we talked about where we stopped last Sunday was shifting to agile as a new operating system for your team. And tonight we will continue our conversation. We have just 3 chapters left, and by the grace of God, we are going to conclude our conversation with these 3 chapters. So the chapter 8 we are starting with is shifting from a culture of scarce praise to peer celebration and recognition. And then we have 9, shifting to diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That was what I know. Okay. But here they say diversity, inclusion and belonging. So it's not DEI for them. Theirs is DIB. And then the last chapter we will talk about, if time permits us, would be shifting to a team of seekers who are each other's coaches. And then we wrap it up with shifting from silos to alignment. Alignment has been the most one of the most prominent word on the social media. It's been a buzzing words, and we also want to investigate it tonight on the show, and then see how it comes into teamship building and teamship practices. So Jemimah, over to you as we continue on chapter 8. Please take us there.
Okay, so in summary, chapter 8 gives us sorry, please, I need to get this. Yeah. Chapter 8 gives us the summary of from solo success to team success.
Okay.
That's what I want to break down that long topic, shifting from culture of scarce praise to peer celebration and recognition. So rather than the leader getting all the praise, all the recognition, all the notifications, gratifications, the identification, as the case may be, it is best to share those recognitions, those success, those praise, those gratifications with every member of the team. Yes. So Keith and Paul help us to understand that recognizing the team's achievements leads to success. And also, when they collaborate, these leaders are able to get to. Remember last time we talked about having these breakout sections where you breakout rooms where meetings, you just put them a group of 3 there. Now at this point where these persons are seated together and each contribution comes in, they want to be recognized. You want to tell them well done for whatever achievements that they have achieved, even in failure. If we go to page that's on the chapter 8, excuse me.
Okay, while we are waiting for
There's
Jemimah to
line.
get it, while we're waiting for you to get the line, I'd like to also say something that I have seen in this chapter 8 as well. It says the red flag rule, we celebrate each other. And one thing you would notice in many organizations is that they don't have the culture of celebration. Birthdays of members, nobody knows about it, nobody cares. And then we have members achieving extraordinary feats, maybe in outside the environmental stratosphere, and nobody even talks about it. They don't see it as anything. It doesn't concern them, so long as it does not add anything to the organization, as they will think it doesn't. But what the authors are saying from the title, we will explain it, but then the title says shifting from a culture of scarce praise to peer celebration and recognition. Now what you would notice, somehow you would see that in a very thriving organization, something peculiar happens. If you walk into Chicken Republic, for instance, you're here, and most of their facilities, you will see a big picture on the wall, and then you have someone's name underneath, and then they
Yeah.
will write something
Employee
like
of the
staff or
month.
employee of the month. And our facilitator yesterday at the MLA also talked about celebrating your team members, whether what they achieve, correlates to what they are doing at the office. But if they are having something they achieve, and it is something that means a lot to them, it is your place to celebrate them. It is your place to acknowledge that thing.
And this recognition sometimes will come as a verbal praise. It could come out as a public acknowledgement. It could come out as a private acknowledgement. It could even be an award at the end of the day to say, okay, this is it, well done. But there's something that Keith says that a lot of us leaders have not actually taken note of, or we feel that it is not important. On page 156.
156.
Is it, no, I think yeah, sorry, 158. You know, he said there's a. I'm going to read it. I said 158, please. Are you there?
I'm there.
Okay, so should I celebrate someone who is not doing that well? And then the answer is yes. If someone struggles and you don't celebrate them, you keep pushing them down, their energy is going to get lower and lower, and you will get less and less out of them. See that phrase? A lot of leaders do not take that into cognizance, because in their head it's like, what is this one actually doing? It's nothing. I want to give an example. So our admin support in the office, that's his job, but sometimes he makes a lot of mistakes when it comes to documentation, and it pisses me the hell off. Like, there was even a time I practically shouted at him even in front of the client, and I noticed that he kept calm and he left the whole place. And so when he came back, even after the client had left, I was still scolding him for doing that, especially because I had repeatedly, talked about this to him. I've repeatedly cautioned him about the whole thing, but he was still, he's still making those mistakes, and I wasn't having it. Even if, after that day, I noticed his attitude to work changed.
Okay.
Yes. So he was either that nonchalant kind of attitude. So even if I do it, I don't do it, I might still get scolded and all that. And so when I came across it, I was like, oh, I really need to do better at this point, because I noticed the energy is getting lower and lower. He wasn't giving me his best at the end of the day. At this point now, he's scared of even walking around me. He's walking on eggshell around me. Like, he doesn't even know what he would do at this point that is going to piss me off.
Happy or
and all that. So leaders back home would want you to actually look at this. Even if the person is not doing well, it is recommended that we want to celebrate these ones for the things that they have achieved.
Yes.
And the things that they are trying to achieve. I really need to. This was like a take home for me when I was reading this, and I believe my viewers out there too are also going to take this home, so that we do not want to kill the energy. We do not want to sap out the little strength that our employees or our friends, our teammates would want in order to give us a success at the end of the day.
I read something on Facebook from one of our very excellent writers, Mr. Kelechi Deka. Is a journalist, and he said that sometimes it's not really the destination that matters, but the journey.
The journey, yeah.
Now, when people are making efforts, it's not the result of the efforts they are making. It's actually the efforts that you appreciate, that, oh, this person is trying, and you show that you appreciate the fact that this person is trying, that this person is trying to build something, and you say, oh, you're building. I don't know if you've seen a toddler trying to walk.
Whoa.
When it gets up and people are cheering,
with the marathon race, you have persons on the sidewalks who was constantly
yes.
clapping,
And they're
then
always
there are-
lining up
they are
to the
lining
end
to
of
the
the
end of and then there are persons who also have these coolers with
yeah.
water
Yes, side and the
side,
sideways. You can drink
exactly.
water and still
So
running.
whether you are the last or you're the first or you're in the middle,
They keep
within
clapping.
those without those persons on the line clapping for you, cheering you on and giving you all the accolades that you need, I don't think those runners will be motivated
Right.
to continue
Yeah,
on
right.
the race. So the same thing too with our teammates, our employees. I really learned a lot, and I know my person. So when I get to the office, I need to apologize to Patrick. Yeah.
I think even if you've not achieved anything on this show, for the
Yeah.
fact that our guest reviewer has identified a problem in her own
I'll
self, and
need
then she's going to work
I
on
will
it.
need to
I think the aim
apologize
of
to
the
him.
show has
And
been achieved.
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I also think there's something you should look at on page 155.
Okay.
Page 155. This says it started with the hiring process. That's the culture they're talking about now. Remember, they said shifting from a culture.
Yes.
So it's a culture. So when you are trying to shift a culture, where do you start from? Here is the foundation. When you are joining the organization, they say, this is how it works for us. Now, most people, most organizations, most leaders don't understand what they call that. When people do that,
I gave myself a time frame with this present company that I'm working with. I gave myself a time frame to actually leave them, and that's because the idea was I needed to see how a structured organization is, because I
Seriously.
have a company I'm working on, and I want to.
like the authors have shared, they said it started with the hiring process. When she's onboarding, she asks two questions. Every employer should know this question. During the whether HR manager, anybody, you must know when to ask this question, and it's on the onboarding process. You said, what
What
motivates you? You must know it. So everybody has a motivation, and everybody is selfish. You must know that one. People can just, someone who wants to learn how to dress might like the way you always dress and decides to want to be your PA. You say, I want to be your PA, and you just be like, this person just, no, they don't just like you. They want to learn something
There's a reason
from
behind
you.
every action.
Can you try to find out what reason it is that drives them to come learn from you? Someone that sees you always punctual, you speak good English, pray, and they say, I want to be with this person, and they begin to come around you. See, how do I help them begin to speak good English? You must find out those things. And the second question is, how do you like to be recognized? To be seen, to be heard.
Yeah.
That's the recognition we are talking about here. Some people are not seen. Some people are not even heard. And this has been the reason why, these actually have been the reason why people have left the organization. They don't hear me. They don't listen to me. They don't take my opinion.
They don't recognize
I am not counted.
my work. Yes.
No. So even in the meeting, I'm making suggestions and nobody's taking me serious. They're like, I'm just,
It's just like
I don't
I'm not
exist.
there. Yeah, I'm not
So why am I
why
here?
am I here?
People begin to, when people have risen to the point of their sociological need, they want to get to the self-esteem need. They want to know that, okay, my opinion counts. I am important to this company in this way.
And that is why
and personally, I wouldn't stay in a place where I'm not valued. Like
I won't.
What makes me a human being, what makes me me, is the fact that I am contributing. I have ideas, I have knowledge, I can coordinate a team, I can execute a task. So don't just take me there and leave me.
This
And
goes to my former HOD. There's something he does. We call him Stone Cold. Not like he has this hard atmosphere, but there's a way he just talks to you, and so there was something that happened, and I called him up to ask him a certain question. And the first thing he said was, Ekaite, we employed you, a smart, intelligent person there. Why are you bringing this up? You know, the moment he said those words, I was like, oh, wow, so this man, he noticed me. He knows I can think logically. That's why, although he was angry, but you see those two words, he said, he responded to me with, that did it for me.
Yes.
That did it for me, and I quickly apologized and I went about doing it. And then when I was done with it, I submitted the reports to him. I'm like, this is what I'm talking about. And no. Since then I was like, wow. So yes,
So you can see now it takes one simple question. It could come out as annoying, provoking question, but if you listen so well, you find out that it is actually a self-actualization question, something that it is there, but you need to just bring it out. Someone needs to bring it out in you. So why do you bring someone to a team and the person is just dormant, inactive?
They don't as even appreciating the shirt the person wore that day to
compliments.
the office. Yes,
compliments people, like, I like this one, you look different today. Is something people want to appreciate it. Someone can even tell you, like, you are smelling so different today, you smell so nice, like, I like to know the name, even though they won't. But imagine your boss coming to ask you what's the name of your perfume. Like me, so I'll tell you. You know, so those things matter to people. Just do it, not necessarily because, but let them feel seen, let them feel heard, let them believe that, oh, actually I am contributing to the team. And they said applauding marathon runners, like she said, on our research shows that the teams that don't celebrate enough leaders are tough on themselves, particularly entrepreneurs. And I know always have. As a result, they can equally toughen on others. The point is, hard people raise hard people. That's just the truth. People who were raised in love will raise other people. There are things I do it for too long, I may break down. It might kill me. It might kill my own self. So I'll leave. If it's not favorable to me. But when I enter an environment where I belong, where I feel like I am there, when I'm a part of that place, I want to do it with all my heart. And one of those things you do for me is just see me, see my value, recognize,
notice me,
see that I'm here. Send me on things that I can do. Don't just allow me to be languishing there and just.
So it is important to know that while we strive to collaborate with our teammates and also try as much as possible for each and every one of us to bring in our A game, put in our best, for the success of the company, and also while we're trying to recognize individuals, we want to know the capability and ability of each and every member of our teammates. And one more thing too, sometimes this recognition shouldn't always come from the higher ups.
Yes.
It shouldn't always have to come from the leaders. The team within is not out of place for team members to also talk about their teammates, what they like, how they see them, because it spoils each and every one of us on to be better for ourselves.
It does.
Seeing that, oh, this person is noticing this. Okay, this is your strength. This is my weakness. So how do we relate, and how do we collaborate with each other, weakness or strength, as the case may be, to bring success to the organization. So while we're out there trying to give recognition to our teammates, let's also try as much as possible to know their abilities so that we do not power down or water down the essence, the efforts of each one of them.
I remember sometime last year, our governor, I don't know if it's last year or early 2 years ago, the governor celebrated one of his protocol staff. And that has never, it was unprecedented. It has never happened. It was, do you know the award that was given to that man? I think it's a DSS or protocol, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Because I've not seen him in a long time. Best dressed.
Wow.
Like they presented an award to him, like a best dressed member of the governor's staff. Like,
I tell you, that man
like,
would.
do you know how? Just be like, don't talk to me like that. This show is even if the person is playing with you, you know, you say the governor has recognized this thing you're talking
Yes,
about,
nah.
so you don't.
Don't-
You know, it means a lot to them. And the man will just go and tell the wife, if he has a good wife, the wife will be telling you need to upgrade now.
You
You
need to
know,
upgrade
see,
now,
they have
see.
noticed you. So even if it was not intentional, but for the fact that a governor tells his head that, look, you're the best dressed
Best
person.
dressed.
And he even, I think he made a statement that sometimes he likes to even watch him. You know,
Wow.
like he notices him and he'll be like, oh, let me see what he's going to look like tomorrow. You know that anticipatory feeling you are giving someone. Now, we are not saying about dressing. It might not really be the governor complimenting his head, but it could be you just walking up to someone and said, you always motivate me by the way you dress. You always motivate me by the way you speak. Even though we are colleagues, we are team members, we are working in the same office, can you just do something that makes people want to come back to the office? You know, I remember that time in school when we had classmates who always tell people, I like sitting. Praise, you know, to them.
Yeah.
So, sitting recognition, you just sit it. Let people go back and think, wow, did my boss really say that to me? Like, you know, I remember when I wrote
That
something.
was the feeling I had when my boss said, you are a smart, intelligent person. I was like, well, so this man notices the things that I do. You know, I was beside myself throughout that day. Oh. Like, you know, a client came in after that, and the way I was talking to the man and everything, in my head, I was like, yes, I'm a smart person. So, hey.
Remember one day my boss introduced me to a bigger person and said, this is one of the best writers he has in the team. That the boy delivers. Like, I was like, okay. So did you hear that? Like, in my mind, I was like, so did you hear that? I felt good.
No,
I felt good.
it
And
does.
I also remember there was a day I wrote something and he said, this is the best thing you've written so far. I was like, okay, so I need to go and up my game now. So if the standard has been set, it can never go down. So these are the things we are talking about. I'm also glad that I can relate to some of the things they are saying here in this book. We need to say things that people go home and be like, okay, so I've gotten to this point. Let people measure their success, their growth. Let people know that, okay, this is where I am. If I work with you and you don't access me, I will not be happy. I might not tell you, but assess me, tell me, I was like this yesterday, but I have improved to this point, so that I feel like I have a part. You are noticing me. You are seeing my growth. You are seeing the effort. The second one, gratitude circle. It said a positive reflective practice at the end of every meeting. So don't always call people to the office, and every time you call people, people are scared. Oga will cajole me. Oga will castigate me. Oga will do this to me today. Don't do that to people. When you call people into the office, people should come out feeling, wow, did I do that today? You know, call people to your.
I'm being noticed.
Yeah, so guys, saying this thing I'm doing, you know, do things that people come back and be like, oh wow. So if I was a 10 yesterday, today I'm going to be
10.5.
I'm going to be 10.5 or 11 or 12 or 15, depending on your energy level. And number 3 says exploits of the week. We talked about this last week. Members of your team, even our facilitator also talked about this yesterday. You can't be working with people and nobody is growing around you. No. You cannot be the only person that's growing. You are the pastor in a church and you have members, protocol team, and you're only the one that's always traveling to South Africa, to Kenya to preach, and none of them has ever they have never had a stamp on their passport that they have traveled before. You know, do they even have passports?
That's not a successful team.
You are not a successful leader. In fact, start with the leader. You're not even a successful leader. People should, in your team, they should be able to, oh sir, in the course of working with you, I've been able to build my own house. In the course of working with you, I'm getting married. In the course of working with you, I'm starting my master's program, my PhD program. Let people see that growth in you. And do you know, this thing comes back to you that when he was with me, he did this, sometimes you don't even have to say it.
Yes.
Because, for instance, me, I don't have to go and my boss doesn't have to go and tell someone that he sends me for a master's program or he sends me for a PhD program.
He doesn't need
I'll be the one telling people that when I was with this man, or in the course of working with this man,
this is what
I
I
achieved.
achieved.
And you know, this thing also spur other people to want to, wow, if that man could have sponsored him, me, I want to go and work with him too.
Yeah.
It brings other people to also want to come and work with you.
True.
And then we also have
Peer celebration.
peer celebration, a monthly round robin peer-to-peer appreciation exercise.
That's
So
what I was talking about.
this one is in group now.
Yeah, within the group.
Within the group.
You and the peers. Okay.
It does not have to be the boss
Yeah.
every time. The boss.
What do you notice? What do you like about
me?
What do I need to change?
What do I need to change? What are those things you notice about me which are subtle?
My former company, what we do, there's a particular day of the month. Okay, Workers' Day. They will assign each person to you, like a fellow colleague, and tell you, write what you like about this colleague and give the colleague a gift.
Okay.
Wow.
Wow.
Something like that could work too. So.
It does. And then the last one is a formal celebration. This one is something.
Is that traditional? Is what they this end of year party kind of thing.
This one,
yes.
but most people don't do, especially birthdays. A more traditional leader-led celebration of the team and individual achievements. One person who epitomizes this particular one is Commissioner for Special Duties.
Yeah.
You know, he celebrates even the past permanent secretaries, past commissioners in all the ministries he's been posted in.
Wow.
I remember when he was in the Ministry of Information, it would just be like, today I led the members of the staff to celebrate with this person. He was a commissioner for information. Even if they might think them and a letter, hey Jesus, that would mean so much to someone. I'm serious with you, and I like to pause at this juncture.
The truth
because
is,
of
we
time.
don't know how much a little thing, how far a little thing
can mean
go.
to people.
Yeah.
So I just like to take the comments and see whether there's any questions. So far, Faith Bassi has joined us. The show producer, Mr. Basemaka, is live here in the studio and also joined us virtually. He says very excited to be here. Well done, our super team and reviewer, Daniel Okon. Bassi also says red flag rule. No, it's actually rule. R-U-L-E, not rule. No culture of celebration. This should be worked on. Organizations should learn. Producer says, my take. Yes, I agree with the author. We should celebrate those whose sincerest efforts are not yet enough to get the desired result, but we should also be careful so we don't promote mediocrity. Yes, there is a clause there. We must celebrate people's efforts, especially when we know these are just little baby steps. But then don't also overdo it. Everything has a line. Don't a benchmark. Don't overdo it so that people you don't promote mediocrity. You don't average. No, that is not what we are saying here. Faith Bassi also re-echoes what we said. He said the onboarding question: what motivates you or your followers as a leader? And as a leader, allow your followers to measure their growth level by encouraging and inspiring them. Thank you so much, Honorable Ruben. Ruben says, "Good evening, great minds." Like you lead us to chapter 9, it says shifting to diversity, inclusion, and belonging. If there's anything there, we just do it or we jump to page 10.
9 talks about from fear to trust.
Okay.
We want to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. As a leader, as a team lead, as a member of the team, it's okay for one to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to be empathetic. It's okay for you to trust. You know, a lot of us will sit down and say, me, oh me, everybody go see me cry. Why can't you cry? Are you not human? So when it comes to leadership, Keith and Paul is telling us that be open, let it all out, talk about it, earn the trust of everybody in your team. Because for me as an individual, I don't think I want to work with persons I don't trust, at least
Nobody
even if it's
wants
a
to.
60% trust or 40% trust, at
Nobody
least.
ever wants to work with
Exactly.
anybody they don't
So
trust.
in as much as we say we are afraid of what will come up, we do not want persons to use our weaknesses against us.
Or to use it to do motivational speech.
Exactly. Okay. Letting them know that I cannot do this particular task that you are giving me,
I
and
don't know
this
how
is
to
the
do it.
reason. I don't know how to do it. This is why. But if you bring out my best for me, be that person, be that vulnerable. Let us trust you to enough to know that, okay, now we know that Mr. Lagbaja cannot handle this. So, Mr. Lagbaja, what can you handle?
You know, this thing
Let
you're
us
saying
give.
now is actually also reminding of a personal experience I had. I think 2021 after COVID-19, one big man just called me and said, "Love, you're so smart. I'd like to sponsor you to go and learn coding." You know, I just spent 1 week with Python. I know that I didn't belong here. Like, I
That's
just know
not
that
your
this is
line.
not me.
Yeah.
I can't be this person. You know, I'm trying to code and I'm missing something, and I have to start all over again looking for what did I do? What did I do wrong? And I identified I told him, so I thank you so much for the efforts and for believing in me, but this is who I am. I can't do this thing. So sometimes all it takes is that honest, confession, admittance of who you are, your limits.
Your limits.
Admitting your limits is also a form of strength. When you know that this is where you can't go beyond. At this point, some people tell you that, okay, when I'm hungry, you cannot get the best out of me. People tell you that.
Yeah.
And if you like, you shame them about it, but that is not that's just who they
That's
are.
who they are.
If they are hungry, their face will change, their mood, everything will just, they can't do anything.
You
And you need
won't
to
be able to
understand
get
that.
through past them at
Yes.
that
So
stage where
if you
they
want
are.
to
So
force the best out of them, give them food. And then they will deliver. And now the authors have also written something creation. And it also says on page 170 that shifting to diversity, inclusion, and belonging is expressing
all the
or embracing
talents.
embracing all the talents in your organization, expanding the opportunity for all perspectives to be heard, and igniting the possibility of greater innovation. Now, I think I've said it many times that 6 can be 9 depending on where you stand. And the earth might not actually be so beautiful if it looks at from another planet. I have said this many times. Sometimes you just pass judgment on things you do not know.
Give
Sometimes we just
assumptions
assume
for
on things and then we pass judgment on our own assumptions. You have to look from different sides to even have a clearer picture. Sometimes all you need is an external
to
to
give
check
an
account and
insight.
do
Yeah.
give insights. People hire project managers and they call them external project managers
Yeah.
in a site, even when they have professional, well certified project managers on site, because a third eye view is always giving another perspective
I
you
think
may
it's
not have
called the
noticed.
seventh man.
Wow, I didn't know that. Is it
Yeah.
in project
And the seventh man comes in that has a totally different view from what every other person on that board has said. So it's referred to as the seventh man that gives a different insight to the board.
Well, what I learned was the fourth man.
The
The
seventh
fourth man was, this one is a biblical allusion from
Okay.
when the children of Israel were thrown into the lake of
Okay.
fire
No.
and they were not consumed. And then,
This is business.
yes, so that one also. Now, the third man is, the fourth man is a person who brings a solution to a perennial problem, someone who comes those 3 Hebrew children thrown into the lake of fire, we knew that when the fourth man in the fire man you want to have, but then let there be an external eye that you have in every organization, every project that you have. You cannot know anything. Sometimes you need to have an Igbo man in the team, a Yoruba man in the team, a Hausa man, so that they will give you a perspective from Igbo angle, someone from a Yoruba angle, someone from a Hausa angle, someone from Ibibio, and even someone like Love Them Magdalene from Anang, who would also give you a perspective to things, how it is done in their own place. And you also notice that, I don't know if you've noticed this thing, you give an Aboki man a shoe to polish for you, and you are able to speak Hausa with him, and he told you that the shoe was 100 naira. But because you've spoken Hausa with him, he told you he's going to do it for 50 or even 30 naira. Now that's what we're talking about, the inclusion now, because there's an acceptance, there's a bond, there's a connection,
cultural inclusion,
affinity, yes,
yeah,
you know, so
cultural diversity.
someone feels like you know how to speak my language even when you're not from my place. That means you like my culture, you've embraced me, I have to embrace you. You know, so someone wants to do something for you at a cheaper, lower rate. So please, in every organization, leaders must understand that it is not only them that need to work.
Obstacle
Yes.
and hold for the right slate. Now when we talk of otherness, said it's a storytelling team exercise where team members share examples of when they felt order. That is
the order in quotes now. They felt like an outsider.
An outsider. What
I
was
didn't
their
belong.
experience?
What
What did they gain from it? How did it translate to getting you being the outsider in the midst?
How do we even bring you
How
back
did we
inside?
bring you back inside the whole
Because that's
thing?
also important.
And at the end of the day, how did this whole experience make you feel?
Then the second one,
The
privilege
privilege
and
and obstacles. Now we want to know something here that as it is said. Sorry, I need to pick out a point here that said privilege is not unique to a particular demographic,
Okay.
and neither are obstacles unique to a particular demographic. You could be privileged at a point in time. There could be obstacles too at the end of the day. But what's most important is that whether you're facing obstacles in your career or you're being privileged enough for in your career path, we want to remember that for teamship, it is best that we're bringing in our all. Whatever the situation is, whether you're from this ethnicity, this tribe, tell us what we need to. Okay, more like for example, noodles. Let's bring a company now, and they want to get a product, and maybe imagine making a this how do you want us when we have a Yoruba person in the team? Oh, please tell me, at what quantity do you think this is spicy enough, or it is not? So this is what we're talking about. So we're bringing in our all, every one of us, everything within us, to the success of the team.
There's something you mentioned which also reminded me of a personal story, a personal experience. They said there needs to, that's on page 174, there need to, before we go back to the last one, he said they need to bring the vulnerability of their own lives into the conversation and consequences of the experiences they have had. When we feel like outsiders, we are less likely to speak our minds.
Yeah.
In addition to helping the team, we know that I too feel like an outsider at times, which helps us breach our universal otherness. Now, I want to share an experience, but I don't want to share that one. Let me share another one.
What did you do?
Talking about vulnerability now. There was a time someone asked me if I have a weakness, and I told him yes, that I did. I think it was in my job, my place of work, and it was about these vulnerability confessions. Now, we had that conversation. He asked me if I had a weakness. I said yes. That I used to be so overconfident. I used to feel very intelligent. Like I was too confident of myself, too sure. And then in my year 2, I felt GST. Not that I felt, I had a D in GST. Like, I have not shared this story. I don't like sharing it because it's always embarrassing. And do you know how supposedly a student has a D in a course? Now, why did I have a D? Because I attended a secondary school which was computer based, like everything was strictly computer, and we were good. And then we left secondary school, we came to University of Uyo, and they are teaching GST, and what the lecturer is teaching is virtually everything I learned in secondary school. And I'm like, so why am I wasting my time in class? No attendance, nothing. Throughout the semesters I didn't go. I just feel like, and most of the things, to be honest with you, the lecturer will be completing the statements for him. He will just be like, to do this, I'll complete. They do the, everybody will like, love you, are good. I said, nah, me now. Do you know where I went to school? You know, those kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I saw D in my result. Like, it is not my result. I had to, you know, went to the GSC unit and I was complaining and all these things. At the end of the day, it was my result. And I was like, okay. So I failed. Now, why did I fail? My name was not in the attendance. And attendance was compulsory for all students. You cannot pass that course without attendance. Why I even had a D was because I actually know the course. And now most of the things the lecturer shared in class, he also gave insights on the things he would say in exams.
And you were not there.
And I was not there to hear the things he's saying. Read this part, I'm going to say these ones. You know, there are lecturers like that give out exam samples, say like, oh, this is
Area
what you should expect. So you're not there, you're like, I know this course. So overconfidence now, what is most important is not the experience you had, it's the lesson you learned.
Yeah.
Like our lecturer said yesterday, our facilitator said yesterday, life is all about success and lesson. That is not success and failures. She said life is about success and lesson. So what was my lesson? The lesson was that no matter how much I think I know something, I won't say I know it. I must listen to. Let everybody say something. I hate it when people point me to start speaking in a meeting first. I hate it so much. I don't want to start talking. I don't want to sound intelligent. Let me hear from other people. Let me hear people's contribution. I've learned from that overconfidence that it didn't lead me anywhere good. So I had to retrace my steps, and I pretend I don't know things.
That's the quality of a true leader, trying to work on ourselves to be better.
Yes. So and then we go to chapter 10. Or you have something else you want to share before we move there?
No.
So chapter 10 says, shifting to a team of seekers who are each other's coaches. And the red flag says, we coach each other. Now, when they say the red flag rule down, it is not like when people say red flag in relationship. Money is my love language. That's not what we are talking about here. This is leadership. What we are saying, the red flag here is the things we do in this organization. So it is like it is obtainable here. It is a standard practice. So in this organization, we coach each other. That's what they say in this book. For this chapter 10, this teamship practice, what they are recommending is that we are responsible for each other's learning, growth, and advancement in life. So when I see an opportunity and if I see something that would, help Mr. Excel to do better in life, I tell him there's something I saw, I've mentioned it on that post. I think you should check it out on Facebook. You see that a lot these days. People go to post and mention people's name. People are like, I need someone who can do this.
And then you see all the tabs
mention people. I say, and sometimes you can see one name persistently coming up. Like 10 persons have mentioned this person. I'm like, oh, this person should be very good.
Very good, yeah.
And you won't tell me if I was looking for a recommendation. People have mentioned this person. I'll go and pick someone who is just yes, it can happen that this person that is most mentioned have fans, but is not very good at his job. That's where we talk about content and form. So are you in alignment with your form and your content? What people and he castigated me, and I felt like, please do more. Just say everything that is in your mind, because I know I deserved it. And that day I took correction from myself that this can never happen again. You get it? Yeah. So here we are talking about how we learn as a team, how we are each other's coach, how we are helping each other succeed.
And as it is, it starts from the very beginning.
Of course.
When you're bringing these persons into the organization, at the interview stage, at the the very first time you're telling the person sending your CV, there's this organization I know when they are requesting to get new telling you a brief of what the company's policies
It's
and
about,
what they do, so that you already have this at the back of your mind that this is what I will be getting at the end of the day. So from the very beginning, the onboarding stage, we want to let our employees know that this organization, we are into growth and more learning. We're coaching and letting every other person know, and that's makes the bedrock of the success of the organization, because you're already coming in with a mindset that this is what this organization is going to offer me. So if
yes.
you're in, fine. If you're not, that's the door. So it's but that's the thing.
That sounded so bad. But well, that's the door. If you're not there, you can stay. If you're not with us, you can't be around us.
Yeah.
You have to align with us. Okay, I'd like you to just go to page 186. Let's
Yeah.
go to the
The feedback framework.
yes.
We will talk about innovation, having an innovative meeting on that particular page, and we have about four feedback framework.
Yes.
We have ideas, performance, competencies, and style. So when we talk about ideas, we're talking about the ability to wrestle ideas, that is said, to the boldest and most inclusive solutions.
Okay.
So at this point now, it is not a situation whereby, oh, I don't want to say anything so I don't get on the backside of anybody. It is better that we have a thorough thick, we want to fight at the meeting, but at the end of the day, let the results show with the success with our customers, with our clients at the end of the day. So we'll wrestle it out, we'll bring out the ideas, we'll talk about it, air it all out there, and courageously and also with respect. We remember we have to co-create and collaborate with individuals of our teams. And then when we talk of performance, we remember we talked about agile, where each person is the breakout room. You have to pick out individuals so they talk about certain things, bring out decisions on a certain project. We want to be bring out highlighters, for a particular project, what we need to do and how to go about it. But at the end of the day, we want to know that in as much as rather it's challenging for us, but we want to know that the success of the team is more beneficial at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then we also have the competencies.
Competencies.
This is the new social contract for this chapter. Peers need to challenge each other to update and upgrade their skills and knowledge. We talked about AI last week, and we are still talking about it. You need to know that. Have you seen that this is the new way of? I talked about the Google Classroom. That I didn't know until someone mentioned it, and I actually knew that even in Zoom, there's what we call breakout. Motivating, creating followership. Procrastination and poor time management are basic style problems. So the team might give feedback to move to more proactivity. So you're always coming late. We have to tell you the truth, and you are the reason why the company is slowing down. And you have to also speed up and see how much you can help us succeed as a team. I just noticed it's already 9:59. So in just 40 seconds, Jemimah, what are your parting shots for tonight?
In summary, we've gotten the practical guides and strategies that is needed for good leadership, which would want to shift to teamship. It's collaboration, it's inclusivity, it's belonging, it's encompassing, it's vulnerability. This is cultural diversity. This is what makes a team worthwhile. Bringing in your A game, bringing in your full energy. And let's not forget that we need to recognize individuals, each and every one of us, for who we are. So as a leader, we want to take this into advice and see how we lead our teams to success. Thank you very much.
We'll take this
So
under
wonderful.
advisement. Thank you so much. That's how far we can go for tonight. Thank you for being with us. It's the last time Jemimah is appearing for the show for this month, and hoping, like she said, that she appears again. I'd like to thank everyone, the show producer, Mr. Basema Kai, Mr. Excellent Odo, Mr. Chris, Miss Esther, of course, Miss Purpose, and Emediong Inyang, who is also here in the studio with us, and all other guests who are live in the guest room, boardroom, watching the live show. I'd like to thank you all, our online audience and participants. Thank you for being with us. This is how far we can go for tonight. This is where I say good night and bye-bye. See you next month.